Good afternoon. The meeting for March 30, 2023 will come to order. Welcome, everyone. I am Mary Jiang, president of the Oakland Rotary Club. Made up of nearly 270 people, the Rotary Club of Oakland is the third oldest club in the Rotary world and one of the Rotary's most diverse clubs. Our commitment to service above self is carried throughout service projects both locally and internationally. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for our 5,430th meeting in the California Ballroom and online. For over 114 years, we have welcomed Rotarians and guests in our club meetings. For those attending online, if you're a visiting Rotarian or a guest of a Rotarian, please enter your name in the chat box located in the center of the bottom of the screen so we can recognize you in a few minutes. If you have comments or want to ask a question of the speaker, please enter the question in the chat box. We recommend you viewing today's meeting using speaker view located in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Now for our thought for the day, I welcome Rotarian Robert Kidd.
Thank you, President Mary. I speak today of knowledge and of wisdom. She who has knowledge is proud, justly proud, of all that she knows. She who has wisdom is humble in the face of all the knowledge that she does not have.
Thank you, Robert, for the inspiring remarks. All right, would everybody join me in reciting the Rotary Vision Statement? Together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. All right. Guests are welcome to join our club and visit our club. Past President and past District Governor Ed Jelen, do we have any visiting Rotarians?
President Mary, indeed we do. We are very pleased to welcome to our club today the Chief of Police of the City of Oakland Housing Authority and a member of the Rotary Club of San Ramon. Would you please join me in welcoming Alan Love? Did I miss any visiting Rotarians? They have the camera set up where I sit, so I've been told to go back to my seat. So here I am back at my seat, and we have one other visiting Rotarian. I'm going to leave my seat. I'm sorry.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm with the now with the Rotary Club of the Motorcycling Rotarians. Thank you.
And a former member of our club. Thank you, President Mary.
Thank you, Jelen. Okay, well, I guess, as I said, welcome to our club. So members who are hosting guests today, please stand, please introduce yourself, your occupation, and then introduce your guests.
How many Rotarians does it take to turn on a microphone? 2.
Thank you. Thanks, President Mary. CJ Hirschfield, East Bay journalist. It is my pleasure to introduce today the guest of Anna Marie, Susan Oppie. She's a registered nurse specializing in end of life and music therapy, and she's heading into the realm of being a freelance writer. Please welcome Susan.
Jack McAvoy, I'm not sure what I am anymore. Thanks, John. So I'm really honored today to introduce 2 very special guests. Those of you who are Rotarians know about the HOPE program, Help Oakland Pupils Excel, which is a mentoring and scholarship program. Started in January of 1994. And today I'm going to introduce a mentor who was one of the first 5 mentors in that program and a former member, and the mentee that he's worked with for the last almost 30 years now. First, Dwight Dunn, the mentor. And Columbus Lewis, one of our first mentees.
Yeah.
And Columbus has now spent the last 7 years of his life mentoring other students through the Acorn Community Center in Oakland. So he's taken what he got from Dwight and put it to work.
Seth Butner, what am I now? Retired. A prospective new member and a businessman. I guess he recently sold his business in the insurance business, retired, Dave Candy.
Hi, President Mary. I'm John Protopapas, and I'm pleased to introduce my guest today. She's here for the second time. She is a prospective new member. Application going in today. She is the founder of Kalia Homes, and she is also my wife, Carrie McAllister Protopapas.
I told them last week that this is a way for him to just have a cheap date with her every week. But that is it. My name is Lois Corrin. I am the most mature person going to Holy Names for 10 years, trying to get my special ed credential. But I'd like to introduce Chief Jeremy Bowers, who is the Chief of Police for Piedmont. And all the Piedmont folks, I want to shout out.
Yeah.
Thank you, President Mary. Shannon Hockley with Shannon Lee Associates. It's my pleasure to introduce David Wofford, and he is with the Friends of the
co-chair of the Rotary Nature Center Friends at Lake Merritt.
And the name Rotary is still on the wall, so pay attention. Thank you.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. It's my pleasure to introduce 2 wonderful ladies, Elaine Oldham and Carol Levinson. Lake Merritt Breakfast Club, formed the Bellevue Club here in wonderful Lake Merritt. Mahalo and welcome to you all.
Good afternoon, President Mary, fellow Rotarians. My name is Julie Fox. I'm retired, and today it's my pleasure to introduce a good friend of mine, Susan Solomon. She's recently retired from financial services and software, as well as a certified dog trainer, and she volunteers for Pets for Vets. Please welcome her.
Good afternoon, President Mary and fellow Rotarians. I'd like to introduce my guest, Jim Mars, who's a Vice President and Relationship Manager with Community Bank of the Bay, from which I recently retired.
Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. I'm Jesse Schmidt, and today I'm happy to be able to introduce Aisha Williams, who is, I hope I get this right, an IT project manager for Kaiser. And she was excited to hear our speaker today. So she stopped by. This is her first Rotary meeting.
Yeah.
Good morning, fellow Rotarians. I'm pleased to introduce to you Anna Marie's guests from one of the best neighborhoods in Oakland, Adams Point, and where they have a significant safety and beautification program. Notice that we didn't say crime and grime. So I wanted to introduce Karen Graff, who's retired, Mary Burgess, who's retired, John Lindsay Poland, I think who works for AFS, just came a short commute from next door, correct? American Friends Service Committee, and David Brodsky, who needs no introduction, evidently. So welcome.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. I hope you guys will come back and join us in another meeting or a club activity or join as a member. All right. Today, I have the privilege of inducting our 17th new member of the Oakland Rotary Club. Will Maria Sakon and her sponsor, Shannon Hackley, please join me at the lectern. Shannon, will you introduce Maria with 2 interesting facts about her?
Thank you, President Mary. It's so hard to nail down 2 facts. But before I do that, I want to say what an honor it is for me to introduce a new member. I haven't done it very many times, I'm ashamed to say, and the few that I have stayed with Rotary for a long time, and they've done amazing work. So inviting one person to Rotary can create triple of the opportunities you might ever have to do yourself. So I am really thrilled to introduce Maria Sakon. Marie she works at Fast Signs right downtown Oakland, a long-time Oakland vendor for many, many years. She went to UCSC and studied photography, drawing, and painting. So she's a creative type, which is probably one of the reasons I'm drawn to her. And she also likes trains, planes, and automobiles. And that includes whether you stay in a hotel, a tent, or a bunk bed. So I'm very thrilled to say that she will be on a bunk bed at Camp Enterprise in just 2 weeks. So she's a member. That means it. Welcome, Maria Sakon.
Okay. So, Maria, welcome to the Oakland Rotary Club. You're joining 270 Rotarians in our club and over 1.4 million Rotarians throughout the world. Maria, here's your red badge, which signifies your status as a new member. You will also receive in a goodie bag a 4-way test that state and guides you in how we perform your daily lives. And I always ask the 4 questions. Whatever you're doing, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will build goodwill and better friendship and will be beneficial to all concerned. Inside of a goodie bag, you also have a handbook called Rotary Made Easy, which is like, tell you what you expect when you're a Rotarian and useful information on our club, and a roster with your 270th new best friends. Here is your Rotary pin with the red badge behind. Wear this pin proudly because with this pin, it gains you entry to any Rotarian club around the world. Whenever you go visiting overseas or in the United States, call them up and says, hey, I'd like to attend a Rotary meeting. Show them your pin, instant access. So also, one more thing in the book, In the bag, you'll get our centennial book written by our very own historian, Rotarian Linda Hamilton, covering the first 100 years of Rotary history. Your commitment as a new member is to attend meetings like today, either in person or online, participate in service activity, and she already jumped in with 2 feet going in Enterprise Institute the next month, practice service above self, and contribute to the Rotary Foundation and the Oakland Rotary Endowment. So there's a financial interest that you have to be aware of. It's my pleasure and privilege to induct you as the newest member of the Oakland Rotary Club. Let's give Marie another warm welcome. Keith,
Right here.
you have planned to induct a new member today. What happened?
Well, President Mary, Hannah Malik, who was also supposed to be inducted today, he is the executive director of the Bay Area Red Cross and had to be in Pajaro. And you all know or have heard about the plight of the people who live in Pajaro. So he is rescheduled for induction on April 27th. Thank you.
Thank you. I think he had a good excuse not to be here today. All right, thank you. Seth Butler, would you give us a wrap up of the Oakland Rotary Endowment fundraising campaign?
You can just show me. So it doesn't have a slide for me. Hello, everybody. Fellow Rotarians and President Mary, I come to you today to give the final pitch for the 2023 Oakland Rotary Endowment Campaign. Our theme this year is Giving Back Never Felt So Good. And your support for ORE not only impacts the community around us, but it also supports the legacy, as 75% of your contribution is invested in our endowment funds to grow and continue to impact our world for years to come. So today, I'm pleased to report that as of yesterday or today, one or the other, Lorna's telling me what it is, the campaign has raised $88,000 of our $100,000. However, we had another goal that we began a few years ago for having every Rotarian every year contribute to the campaign. And as Mary indicated, that is one of the commitments that you make as becoming a new member. Of that goal, we have only about 108 of you who have contributed of our 260, 70 members to date. While I appreciate and thank all of you who have contributed thus far, my pitch today is really to focus on those who have yet to give. To that end, I'd like to remind you all that part of your commitment when you joined Rotary was committing to practicing service above self and by contributing financially to the Oakland Rotary Endowment. I'm committed to that, and as such, I gave a challenge to our campaign chair, Lorna Padilla-Marcus, to reach 100% participation of all the members. I did this so that we can all participate and collectively in our campaign and all to enjoy what I call the gift of giving. Giving back never felt so good. Each of us is blessed to be a part of Rotary, and what you give comes back to you tenfold. I remind you that dues did not cover your gift for the campaign. So I'm personally asking you, indeed, I'm challenging you to join the fellow Rotarians and make your financial commitment to support ORE and all the work we do. Giving is not just about making a donation, it's about making a difference. So if you have not given to ORE this year, I implore you to give whatever you can. You have a flyer on your desk that indicates you can give 1,000, 500, 250, 100, or the minimum of 25. Now, you may not think $25 is enough to make a difference. However, when you give collectively, we can change a community or the world. And that is what being a Rotarian is all about. Help us achieve the 100% participation challenge. Give what you can. Finally, we know some of you members have had hardships or health or business problems, especially during these pandemic years. So one of our generous Oakland Rotary Club board members has offered to cover your contribution, $25 contribution, which will be made in your name if you would like to be sponsored. Please let us know, let Lorna or myself know. No judgment, no questions, just appreciation. We all rise together, giving to the Oakland Rotary Endowment, and thank you for that if you do. Thank you. Now, to remind you of how your contribution makes an effective, becomes effective in the community, Gary Flaxman is here, has a story to move you to give. Come on, Gary.
All right, thank you, President Mary, fellow Rotarians, Sess, very sweet of everybody. I have to say, I felt a little reluctant to share this story because I still get very choked up about it. And now that we have a first-time Hope alumni here, I feel extra pressure to let him know how great this program has been. And what we do when we volunteer, you think it's really all about the giving. But as was said earlier today, was sometimes giving is much more rewarding than receiving. And in my case, I thought my relationship with my mentee, what can I give? How often can I give? What do I have to offer? And as it turns out, the rewards come back to you in ways that are really hard to even grasp. And to be honest, the 8-year relationship that I've had with my mentee, I felt really was more me observing and being available if he needed me. And in hindsight, when he got into Oregon State this January, it brought such joy to me beyond anything I'd ever received before. I felt so happy for his success. So in regard to ORE and giving, I don't think anybody can possibly anticipate how rewarding it is, and also just how it spreads out amongst everybody. And then when you can hear the stories that people have to tell, the pride and just being affiliated with this room it's hard to even describe. So that's my pitch. If you have the chance to give in any way, shape, or form, keep your eyes and ears open for the things that are going on here, because if you participate, the rewards will be unbelievable. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Sorry, oh, yes, Lorna, Rotary.
Mary, President Mary and fellow Rotarians, I would like to ring the bell for 2 reasons. This will be 2 bell ringers. First, I'd like to ring the bell on behalf of Sess, who challenged me to chair this year's campaign. And it's been a labor of love and work, but it's given me an opportunity to connect with some Rotarians I would not have otherwise. And I want to thank everybody who's participated so far. My second bell ringer is on behalf of Gary Flaxman and all the mentors like him who stepped out of their comfort zone to engage with a 12-year-old child. Gary doesn't have any kids himself. He's a great uncle, but he stepped out of his comfort zone. He's been an incredible mentor to Drayon, has been a key to his success at Oregon State. Finally, I have these little envelopes on the table, which are handwritten by me. Please take them. They're a gift to you for supporting ORE.
Okay. So Lorna Badia, 2 bell ringer. Sess?
I would like to
Ring the bell for Lord of the Day of Harvest. For the whole party campaign. Not only this provide this for all of you who have given, if you haven't given, fill out the form that's on your thing. To go on the last pitch. Got one from that above right here, right now. So everybody else who hasn't given yet, the gift of that, but this bell.
Okay, so says partner bell ring. Jim Bosanecker. Okay, Jim Bosanecker, bell ringing for Lorna. All right, for those who wonder what this bell ringing is, it's a generous $100 tax deductible donation to the Oakland Rotary Endowment. And that's another way of supporting Rotary Club and all the functions. All right, thank you. Ruth Strofe, could you tell us about an exciting musical play event this Saturday? And are there still tickets available?
President Mary, fellow Rotarians, and our guests today. We have 6 tickets left to go see Fun Home at the Berkeley Playhouse, an award-winning musical theater right here in our community. Tickets can be ordered online at the Oakland Rotary website. Jesse has, I believe that if more than 6 people want to come, we can make that happen. I will be going, and I think Lois Korn will be there and several other people. So please do join us on Saturday at 1 p.m. On College Avenue in Berkeley at the Berkeley Playhouse to see Fun Home, an Emmy Award winning play, musical play about childhood and seeing adults from past and present. It's going to be amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. For those who are not sure, the Berkeley Playhouse used to be called the Julia Morgan Theaters. So they're one and the same. All right. Anna Marie, would you please, I'd like to introduce our speaker today.
I'd love to, President Barrett.
Is it on? Excellent. I was just testing you. Fellow Rotarians and guests, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce and get to interview Alameda County Sheriff Yersinia Sanchez. I'll tell you a little bit about her before we get into the interview. Our sheriff was born in Hayward and grew up there. She is a native Californian to her toes. She's absolutely all in for California and certainly for Alameda County. For the last 25 years, she has spent her life absolutely supporting law enforcement to be at its very best through multiple roles. She started in 1997. That doesn't seem right, does it? 1997, and has been rising through the ranks, starting first with being the sheriff's technician, then a deputy sheriff, a sergeant, a lieutenant, captain, all the way up to division commander, and then last year, the stunning upset victory over the sitting sheriff. And now she is. You have some fans here already, just so you know. And she calls Livermore her home with her husband, Todd, where she's been for 14 years. She is the proud stepmom of 3 daughters. And please join us in welcoming Alameda County Sheriff Yersinia Sanchez. First, let me tell you that I am just thrilled and delighted that you exist and that you are here. You'll see why in just a few moments. Before we get into the things that we really want to talk about related to your role as our sheriff, I'd like you to just share maybe a couple of things so that we get to see a little bit about you as a person. Like, what are a couple of things that you would like basically the world to know about you?
Okay. Well, first I was told I was invited to muscle people in for their dues. So the club needs some assistance with that. I think I know a few people. But no, just a little bit about myself. You know, I tell a lot of people this. When I was first growing up as a teenager, wasn't a big fan of law enforcement. I had a number of negative interactions with law enforcement. So the fact that I am a law enforcement leader today is very shocking to me. And if I was able to interview a few of my high school friends, they would not believe it. So it's been a blessing to be able to work in this field. When I first applied for the county, I actually put in, this is when you actually had to drive around and go in person and leave applications when you're looking for work. I was working 3 jobs prior, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 at a used car lot. I was doing account payable and receivable. And then during my evenings between 9 p.m. and 3 a.m., I was loading cargo planes at the Oakland airport for Federal Express. And on the weekends, I spent my weekends at McDonald's doing shift work. So it was a busy time for me, but I was really trying to survive. And I was trying to help my mother, who my parents split up. We had a broken home. We lost our house to foreclosure. We kind of all had to find a means to seek shelter and support ourselves. So I applied for all entry-level positions throughout the county, not only in Alameda, but in Santa Clara County, because I was in Hayward. So Santa Clara wouldn't have been too bad of a commute. Did not want to apply in San Francisco because I just did not want to go over the bridge every day. So luckily enough for me, the entry-level position was for a sheriff's technician in the county. And it didn't say the sheriff's office. It said Alameda County has a sheriff's technician position. So I applied for it and ended up getting hired through the sheriff's office. So that's how I started my career. Did not anticipate that it was going to lead into law enforcement. I thought that I would just go to school, go to college, if I was able to save some money. But the more I engaged with the agency members and I learned what they did, I wanted to be more a part of that. And so that's what led me to enter into the academy and become a sworn deputy. And here I am.
Thank you very much. So that we can really understand the relationship between the sheriff's office and our city, could you give us a sense, first off, of the size and scope of your office, and how does the sheriff's office relate to cities? What is fully your jurisdiction versus ours, so that we are very clear on what is your role and what isn't?
Definitely. So the city, for their law enforcement agency, obviously it's Oakland Police. But you'll see sheriff's office members within the city of Oakland and within most cities in the county, because we offer contract law enforcement services to a number of entities such as AC Transit Police. You'll see our deputies at the Oakland Airport. We used to have an assignment over at the Peralta colleges. We are again engaged in discussion with our Peralta partners to see if we can provide law enforcement services in the future. It was one of, we had a really good relationship with, we have a really good relationship with all of our contract partners, but this is where the relationships with the sheriff's office and our city partners are critical, because we are operating in the same space. We have a different role where Oakland, Piedmont, for the city of Piedmont, they respond and they are the primary responsible law enforcement entity. And we are here as support. The Alameda County Sheriff's Office is also a Regional 2 emergency coordinator. And so that means if within any of the cities of Alameda County, not only Alameda County, but within 16 counties in the state, we can offer mutual aid assistance, as well as coordinate any nearby agencies to offer some assistance, whether it's search and rescue teams, whether it's some sort of dive rescue operations, just a number of things that cities might be leaning on a larger agency such as the Alameda County Sheriff's Office, or maybe even Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office to lend help for the smaller cities. That makes that, did I answer all that? Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you. We want to go a little deeper into the election itself. Can you tell us what you credit the upset victory to? Because as you heard in your introduction, many people were very excited. And for those who may be guests, you probably don't know this. Sheriff Greg Eghern came here and spoke to our Rotary Club And as you may remember, gave us a wall of PowerPoint and then declined to take any questions. So you have many people here who are very excited to just have you share in this way. So can you give us a sense of what do you think caused that?
So it all boils down to the fact that number one, I'm a newcomer to the political world. And so I had to accept that I don't know what I'm doing. And I had to engage with people who understood how politics work, the fundraising aspect of it, getting in front of people. I was an unknown person. No one knew my name. No one knew my face. And so I credit my campaign team, number one, my fundraiser, number one. I mean, they were extraordinary people who did and invested in me, an unknown person, to take on this challenge, really. And so I give them the utmost credit, but it did take a lot of sacrifice from, myself as well as my family, because I leaned on them also to come with me to events, to door knock, to get in front of folks at certain community outreach events as well. So it was a lot of the grassroots efforts that really won this campaign for sure.
I also ask that because we have many people in our Rotary who have run for office and will run for office. And unseating a sitting sheriff is really quite the major accomplishment. So for us, for all of the people running and for all of the people who really care about this, that was really quite an inspirational moment for us all. So thank you.
Thank you.
You, on your website, you have the transition plan, the key things that you wanted to really take on. Could you give us a few of the things that you consider to be the most important pieces of your future as our sheriff?
Yes, there's definitely a number of goals and priorities that I have established that we're working towards. And we have an executive summary of our transition report that is online, but we're going to fully release a report that captures what those goals are and how we believe we're going to take those steps to get and achieve what those goals are within certain timeframes, whether it be the first year of my being in office, the second year, third year, maybe until my 6th year, because you're stuck with me for 6 years if you didn't know that. And I have all of those priorities are important to me. But there have been some actions that I've been wanting to take, and especially coming as a division commander for the jail, I had a number of efforts that I wanted to push forward with. I was limited or not able to do so. So the reentry is definitely a focus for me, providing more reentry services and education. We are starting a pilot for a reception or an intake area for the jail where we house individuals, and we actually do very robust assessments on people, which includes asking questions about their upbringing. If they have children at home that are being impacted by them being incarcerated, and do they need services? Should we send someone out to make sure that they have food or anything like that? Those are things that we've never done in the past, but we definitely have to take into consideration what those impacts and how somebody who has been or is incarcerated, how that impacts them from the outside too, as far as their families. So there's going to be so much more that is going to be done. And as far as doing individual assessments for people who are incarcerated, as opposed to just, treating everybody the same and offering them the same programs. If they take them, they take them. It's just definitely going to be a little bit more in depth. It's going to require us to onboard a reentry director. So hopefully we can get that position posted so that people can apply and we can onboard that person sooner rather than later. County processes are very lengthy, but also working with our trade partners, because the trades are looking for skilled workers. And there's a number of skilled workers that are in our jail. So they would like access to see if they could start training individuals so that when they actually get released and they go out into their communities, that they actually have a job and they could start day one. And sometimes some of our trade partners actually offer housing while they're continuing their offsite or site training, whether it be in Sacramento, whether it be in Pleasanton, you name it. There are services out there. We just haven't exposed people to that. And so that's really the key, is exposing people to more opportunities that they would not have known are out there. So definitely a focus on reentry, definitely a focus on accountability. as far as our staff members, making sure that they know that they will be held accountable for even the small things, because it's my belief, and I think that if you're a parent, you know that if you let the little things go, those little things turn into big things, and then, you know, sometimes it's a little out of control and a little hard to manage, right? So those are things that we're pushing out, and it's going to be a shift, a culture shift for our agency to start now knowing what the expectations are. But it's going to be a good shift because this is something that a number of our leadership and our staff have been kind of waiting for a while. So accountability is definitely a number one priority for me as well. And how can we be more transparent? There's a lot of questions that we get that we don't answer. But and not so much that we can't answer, but there is a portion of that question maybe that we can provide some information. So how do we spend our budget? What is our budget? All these other things that we have not historically provided information or background information on, I would like to, and we're actually starting to develop a mechanism as far as how do people or the public have a portal through our public website where they can go into an area of concern or area of information, whether it's financial or whether they want to see or track maybe a citizen complaint. Where is it in its process? Is it still in progress? Is it, you know, some sort of status where you kind of can gauge where your complaint is at? So all those things we are working on implementing. Those are coming soon, hopefully. I don't know how long it takes for website folks to do what they're supposed to do, but those are definitely things that we're going to have as accessible to the public for anything or any information that they've been seeking. We have good people doing good work, but how do we show that we have good people doing good work? And so that's something that we are actually looking into as far as onboarding an organization to take a look at our data to make sure that we're providing equitable services to the community. Not so much just continuously saying it, but how do we show it? How do we show it in a way where it's not just us sending that message? Because I could tell you all you want about, like, we're doing great things out there in the street and all this other stuff and great things in the jail, but how do we actually show that through data? Because data is very powerful. So those are things that the sheriff's office are working towards and working on. Nothing happens overnight, but we are taking those steps forward so that we can actually have something tangible here in the near future.
Thank you. One of the biggest issues that so many people brought up was the restoration of trust between our most marginalized communities and our most grassroots levels of community interaction with the Alameda County Sheriff's Office. It's one of the things that your predecessor really defunded. So can you tell us your stand on community engagement and how you are going to take on rebuilding and reestablishing trust with the agencies and the people who are really critical to serving our truly diverse population here in Alameda County?
Yeah, I believe my responsibility first and foremost is to be present myself, showing that I care about whatever the events are, whatever is going on in the community, as far as maybe we are focused on our youth and providing activities for our youth. I would like to make sure that I am present, the sheriff's office is present, and then, we can be there to show that we are supporting the effort, and what can we do to help continue supporting this effort in the way that it is being stood up right now, or maybe how can we make it grow? And this is a discussion that I actually had with some of our city council folks within the county, as far as, the sheriff's office has a number of recreational opportunities that they offer for the unincorporated children or the youth in maybe Hayward and the San Leandro area. But how do we utilize either some resources through grant funding? How do we partner together so that we can replicate that in our cities? And that's something that I am open to discussion with. I think that's a great idea. Why should we just have this effort and unincorporated? How do we grow this and build this out so that all of the cities can now be a part of it? And because I'm a big believer in partnership and collaboration. You can make things bigger and better, just kind of grabbing everybody together and working in partnership and pulling all of our resources together to make the effort happen. And sometimes it happens faster, because, we know people and all that other good stuff as far as the connections are important. So I believe that will build trust and it will assist in making sure that our city partners know that I will be there to support them in any way that I can, but that I'm open to the conversation and how we partner together in those efforts.
Thank you. My next question is about the way drugs have ravaged. Q&A? Alrighty. We will be skipping to the Q&A section of today. So yes, we will have a line, but while they're lining up, I will ask you right now, and we can answer this after the questions, but think for a moment about what we as Rotarians, because there are many of us across the county, will be able to do to support these things that you've shared. So can we have the first question, please?
No, you're holding the microphone. So I have to Don't go anywhere. This will be a great question.
Good afternoon. My name is John Lindsay Poland. I'm with the American Friends Service Committee.
Hi, John.
Hi. As you know, the Sheriff's Office, under the Babo settlement that was settled with federal courts in order to provide better mental health care in the jail, the Sheriff's Office got an increase of more than $80 million a year for more than 300 staff, new staff in the jail. As of December, 184 of those new funded positions were vacant. So my question for you, yes, is do you support a revision of the Babu settlement that would permit investment of funds from vacant positions in the jail into community? I'm asking the question. That would permit funds for vacant positions in the jail into community-based services for people with mental illness that could prevent their going to jail in the first place. If you could.
So I didn't quite catch the last half, but bottom line, simply, when it comes to the consent decree, it is a negotiated settlement, and any going back on any of the language that we've already signed up for, really, and negotiated would have to go back to court. I have been asking difficult questions to our finance team, bottom line, and the focus is that we spend our money responsibly. And if I find that we can operate in a manner that does not require all of those positions, and that's something that I'll be very open about and telling our attorneys, our firm that represents us, as well as the monitors that are monitoring us.
Sheriff, thank you so much for coming to Oakland Rotary. The question I have has to deal with the recent killing of 3 young children and 3 adults in Tennessee. Please comment on the action of the police officers involved in this situation.
So I don't like doing the Monday morning quarterback, but I think that we can all see that it is a repeated issue. The fact that we still have to watch this occur on the news, these incidents occur where kids are being targeted. Bottom line, our children are being targeted, and it's our job as law enforcement that we educate our schools, our teachers, our kids. Sadly, we have to let them know what to do if something like this happens, where to go, who to call. All these things are very critical. And so that's where we should be engaging with our schools to say, if you can give us time, we would love to spend some time in your classrooms to talk about these things. And the kids need to know that it's okay to talk about too, because even if they're not directly involved, they're traumatized by hearing about these incidents from neighboring schools. Even in our areas, it's occurring, right? So they're scared to go to school. So how do we comfort them, and how do we put safety measures in place so that they feel safe going to school, so they can focus on what they're supposed to be focused on, which is their education, and not worrying about who's bringing a gun to class or what bully is going to attack me. So, and those are things that we need to be, the law enforcement who engage with our youth, the teachers who are engaging with our youth in schools. How do we pick up on these triggers that maybe this child is being bullied? It's just signs and symptoms that can allow for us to actually give that child some attention. Because some of these kids who are just kind of like laying under the radar, or they have this boiling anger inside, but they have there's these symptoms, these signs that we can actually pick up on if we're actually paying attention, so that we can actually get them some help. But it really is, going back to the Tennessee incident, it is just sad, disheartening, and it feels like we're not doing enough. The fact that this still occurs, and if there is an active shooter in a school, it is upon us to go in there and save lives and stop that threat right away.
Thank you so much, Sheriff.
Hi, my name is Aisha Williams, and I live in the Adams Point area. I have a condo there. And my question is, my condo's been broken into twice. Once because of a postal office key stolen, and then another one in a garage. And just wonder if you have any advice at all of what to do, if anything.
So I think that the more information that law enforcement can receive as far as identifying the people involved is, what we can start with, right? I'd never advocate for anybody to confront anybody that they see that's doing it in the process or in the act of that type of burglary or break-in. But cameras are wonderful, and the fact that there are mechanisms for you to share your video, I don't think that every law enforcement agency has a software called axon.com, where it has a citizens app, and citizens can upload their video directly to their law enforcement agency, and it happens that quick. And so they have access now, and they can start working that investigation as soon as they can. And, the people that are victimizing and breaking into, whether it's your mailbox or your house, your car, they're doing things to cover their faces, take off their license plates, all those things. But really, it takes tools for law enforcement to be able to follow up with, to be able to capture video, follow people. I mean, it's just as far as like, when I say follow people, I mean like Ring cameras. Okay, this Ring camera picked up this car, and then this Ring camera picked up this car. And so, and we're able to get like a trail as what direction they're going, and how do we catch them? But, a lot of it is making sure that there are deterrents. If you don't have cameras, put signs up that says you do. It says, we're watching you, and our video goes straight to the cops or something, we tell our neighbors that, and they've just been telling everybody. But signs are good. Just putting sometimes decoy cameras up work too. So if your house looks like it is secure with cameras, they're going to move on to the next house. They're going to move on to somewhere where it doesn't quite have all the security features that will provide some evidence to law enforcement.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi there. Thanks so much for coming. My name is Isaac Koss-Reed, and I've been with Rotary for a few years, and I've lived on Lake Merritt for 20 years. And one of the issues that has really increasingly impacted quality of life here, and then I've realized really around the world, is loud noise, particularly from vehicles, particularly from illegally retrofitted vehicles that aren't allowed to drive on our roads. Motorcycles, cars, even Priuses, apparently you can now retrofit.
I'd love to see that.
But what can be done about this issue? We have roving bands of ATVs and dirt bikes that are tearing up our parks, tearing up our streets, and just kind of terrorizing the neighborhoods a bit. I'm curious, can anything be done? And do you have any advice for us?
Yeah, so I love to lean on our CHP for our traffic stuff because they're so well versed in all those vehicle codes. And there is a vehicle code that addresses specifically like loud mufflers and stuff like that. We generally, if we have a number of complaints, and I speak for the sheriff's office, that are like isolated in one area, we'll do operations and we'll target that area. So at least it will deter people from doing that. And sadly, they just move on to somewhere else. And then we have to target that area, right? But if there are a number of issues, and I do know, being that I work around Lake Merritt, that I'm hearing all the stuff that you're hearing and I'm saying the stuff that you're saying. It is something that where if we can partner with another agency, such as CHP, maybe get OPD involved, where we can do something on a weekend, or we can isolate what areas, or I'm sorry, not what areas, what timeframes that this occurs. We can do a targeted approach on like just identifying those people who are driving those vehicles and contacting them and basically citing them and deterring them from doing that.
Good afternoon. Thank you for coming to speak to us today. My question is, we know in California, it's very difficult to be in law enforcement. You mentioned earlier about, all the good things your officers do, but unfortunately, the media is more about catching you doing something wrong. And we've seen the impact on that in many law enforcement communities on their declining roles and the inability to fill positions. Given your support role for the local police departments in your county, how does that impact you and the stress on your officers with the requirement to work overtime?
Yeah, so the sheriff's office has had a mandatory overtime program for 3+ years already, and that does not help with our morale. And so it's really upon me to put a lot of pressure on our recruiting team to make sure that we're hitting all the events that we can and recruiting and making sure that we're marketing ourselves as much as we can. We're all competing for the same people. I'm just throwing numbers out. Piedmont maybe, has a signing bonus for like 50 grand. I don't know, but everybody has like a signing bonus, and then some, other people have the ability to give incentives. But one thing that I've been telling our staff too is we really need to focus on retention as well, because I don't want them to be, blitzed and glammed by Piedmont, East Bay Parks, or Oakland Housing. I want to keep all of our staff, because experience is critical when you're running an operation such as a jail facility. You want to make sure that you're keeping the people who have the institutional knowledge and that they're not swayed away through monetary incentives. And really that comes down to also how I treat staff and how my leadership is treating staff. And I want to make sure that our staff know that we value them. We want them to stay. We want them to be happy when they come to work. It's very difficult when you're working with short staffing in law enforcement, but it's really in sometimes, throwing a barbecue or having an ice cream social or something. I mean, I enjoyed that, when I was able to do that as a sergeant. But people really see that you care, and they know that you're asking a lot of them. But you just have to do stuff like that and hopefully deter them from going all to the glitzy glam PDs.
Okay. All right. We have time for just one more last question, Dave. Keep it short.
I'm sorry, I'm long-winded.
So I was going to ask about how you could help Oakland backfill its low force, but you've just answered that question. So let me ask a slightly different one. We have half a dozen different law enforcement agencies operating in Oakland. Is there any effort to have them work together? And what are those efforts if they are?
Oh, absolutely. Call me so I can help you and you can help me. It's all about helping one another and really maximizing our resources together. And I know that, we have a really good relationship with Oakland Housing. We work with them on a number of our efforts with our reentry programs. But you point out something very important, is that do we engage often enough? Are we talking about how better or how much better can we work with one another? Because we all are working through the same issues, whether it's housing, whether it's loud noise and break-ins and firearms in our communities and drugs in our communities, and specifically fentanyl. We are seeing a wave of fentanyl in every city, not just in this county, across the state, across the nation. We're talking about hundreds of pounds of fentanyl that's recovered in just 1 month during operations. Can you imagine that? Hundreds of pounds of fentanyl. And just a little pinch can kill you. So that is something that we need to be or get better at as far as educating our kids, because they're coming in little colors and very enticing packaging, making sure that they know what the effects are. And bottom line, what it comes down to is one pill can kill. We've seen this slogan. It is absolutely true. Less than one pill can kill, and sometimes because they don't measure exact quantities when they're putting that stuff out there. But yes, we need to do a better job working together. How do we get everybody in the room for those? And maybe we just have not just, but we add another meeting to our schedule where all of the law enforcement agencies that operate in Oakland have a get together, and we discuss what we're seeing and how can we work together and address these issues together. But no, that's a great point. Thank you for bringing that up.
All right. All right, Yersinia, thank you for, number one, being a trailblazer and for that wonderful presentation. So education is my area of focus for this year. The Rotary Club of Oakland is proud to partner with Oakland Promise to offer 8 $10,000 scholarships annually along with mentorships. We are proud to support many as the first in their family to attend college. In recognition of your presentation today, Oakland Rotary will make a donation in your name to the Oakland Promise to support its kindergarten to college program for every child in our city. Thank you very much.
That is so amazing.
So, Mary Rutzer, could you tell us about next week's speaker?
Absolutely. Next week's speaker is the team of Suzanne Gordon, who's an award-winning journalist, and Dorothy Salmon, who has been described to me as the Carla Betts of Napa. And they will be talking on the subject, Serving Those Who Have Served, how Rotary clubs can form partnerships that better support our nation's veterans.
Thank you. Well, Shannon and Maria, head to the back of the ballroom so that people can greet you as you leave. So at this point, I'd like to thank you everyone who has participated in today's meeting. Rotarians and guests, please immediately remove your lunch trash and personal belongings from the table so that the kind Rotarians who help us to clear the room can do it quickly and easily. Next week would be a Zoom-only meeting, so don't come to the California ballroom. So, share, which means thank you, and this meeting is adjourned.